What happens if I click a new slide now? Comes back, right? It comes back. So another of the content, because now PowerPoint thinks that I'm going to go on entering content. Now, if you look here, in the previous slide, we directly added text, but it shows a variety of other options for me if I do not want to add text. So first is it shows me that I can add a table directly. Now, of course, there are other ways to add a table, but here is the quickest way to add a table. So I come here, I say number of columns are 5 and number of rows are 2. Suppose I want 3 columns and I want 10 rows. That's your 3 columns and 10 rows. Okay, right? Now, of course, like other tables, you can simply hit go on entering content, and every time you want another line, another new line will come in. No more, right? Lines will keep coming, but you have to stop yourself at some point. Why? Because otherwise, you see, it's going outside your slide area. So you'll have to just be very careful about till when is it okay. Maybe this is okay. If you need one more, maybe you can go ahead and fit one more line. Similarly, just like table, you can directly put in a chart here, right? If you look at it, if you notice this, you will find that these charts are exactly the same that we had seen in Excel, right? That's because the charting engine in the background is identical, right? It's just certain components of it are available from here as well. It's the same charting engine, right? And I don't know if any of you are interested in trivia. I personally find trivia very interesting, but so I'll just give you a trivia anyway. Back in the day in 1988, after Microsoft had this partnership with Jenny Graphics, they didn't really have any chart styles of their own within PowerPoint. Okay, they didn't have clip arts, they didn't have icons. So the whole thing about icons was unheard of back then, right? Clip arts were there, but Microsoft didn't have their own clip art at that time. Okay, so they actually contracted with Jenny Graphics. To custom design clip arts. Okay, so Jenny Graphics artists have hand-drawn clip arts. Okay, they have hand-drawn clip arts for Microsoft, and that is what used to be available. Can you imagine the software clip arts were actually hand-drawn kind of clip arts? So similarly were the charts. So the charts at that time within PowerPoint, those were also made by Jenny Graphics designers. So that is what was available within PowerPoint back then. So if you get your hands on some very old screenshots, I mean, I've of course never seen all of those softwares in person. I've only seen screenshots of them here and there in certain places and Internet Archives. So if I manage to find some, once again, I'll show you. But very interestingly, the charts that were available within PowerPoint back then, they looked hand-drawn. Today, if you have a hand-drawn looking chart on PowerPoint, you'll wonder what is happening. But back then, since the norm was always overhead presentations, nobody really found it very unusual. But the style was the hand-drawn style because the basic design was developed by hand by the designers at Jenny Graphics. So you can have these kind of titles. You can have something called a smart art, and there are a variety of smart art types. We'll discuss this in great detail because I think there's a lot of potential to improving your PowerPoint slides using smart art. So we're going to spend a lot of time discussing smart arts. Then you can, of course, have 3D models. If you are using 365, you can insert 3D models. Otherwise, you will not see this option. And this is another common option that you will need is insert a picture from a file. So you come here and it will make you insert a picture. So this will let you select only the picture file. So you see here, only my picture files are available, but PPT files, CSV files, all of those are not available. So it's going to show me only the picture kind of file. So I can put in a picture file over here. If you are using a newer version, you will also see picture from online sources. You've seen this in Word, how we can get Bing to search online and bring you pictures from online sources. Just the same thing. Remember, we had worked on the Apple, just the same thing. So you can get Creative Commons pictures that you want from online sources, and they'll just come inside your PowerPoint straight away. Similarly, you can insert a movie, you can insert a video file, right? And the good thing about a video file is it will let you play a video without really having to leave PowerPoint ever. Okay, you don't really need to leave PowerPoint, yet it will let you play the video. Now, once you have a picture, you can resize it to any extent that you wish to, right? You can resize it. And not only can you resize, you can also simply drag and place anywhere as you wish to. Okay, so you can place it here, you can place it in this corner, right? Wherever you want to, you can place these things. Okay, go ahead, increase it. Suppose this becomes too big. What happens when I do a full screen? You only see the slide area. You do not see the areas which are outside. So that's really the only trouble with this. So otherwise, within the slide area, what happens? You see exactly what has been done. So as long as your picture is of a good enough resolution, you should be able to increase or decrease. If the picture resolution is very small, then when you increase the size, you are likely to see letterboxing happening on it. You're likely to see those jagged staircase on it, right? You're not going to see a good smooth kind of an image. So you look here, this is an absolutely smooth line. Okay. However, if this is low resolution, then you will start seeing this will look like staircase. It'll start looking like this, right? So I'm sure all of you would have seen these kind of files. So you know that then you have pulled the document too far. You shouldn't really be pulling that document so far. Okay. So then there is icon. Again, this is something which has come in the newer ones and wasn't really there earlier. Now, suppose you want another slide with the same kind of style. You've already created a table. You have more data to be entered as a table. So you want another slide with the same style. How do you do that? You just right click and it says duplicate slide. Okay, so duplicate slide will simply make a copy of that style, and then you can go ahead and modify that again. So suppose I want the title style over here once again. So if I click new, I get the content style, right? I don't get the title. Suppose I want to get the title over here. So one way to do is you can duplicate the title from here, right? And then drag the title to wherever you want. Okay, so that has brought the title slide copy. So originally, whatever you had made the title, that comes in over here as well. However, there is yet another way of doing this. There's yet another way of doing this. So your slide is here right now. Instead of clicking the new slide button, just click the tiny arrow next to it. This shows all of the possible templates that you can have. You can have a title slide. Title and content is what we've been using. Section header, to content, we'll see all of those. But now if I want to insert a title slide, I come back and I find whatever was done earlier is available here. But now you see here, I have made some modifications in the title, right? And I am back to the original. So here, if I want those modifications, I have to make sure that those modifications are available. How can I modify those? So I say this is the section title 2, and you would remember we have the format painter option. So I paint the format, I go to this, the format has been painted. So this was in Georgia something, Georgia 32. Now this is also Georgia 32. It has simply painted that format. However, this one, I had also dragged and changed the position of it. Here, if I need it in that position, I will have to manually do that again. Okay, by default, it will not be in the same position. Format Painter does not copy the position difference. So if I want the position to be there, then I will have to go ahead and make that position separately, positioning them separately. Okay, so that is the way to create a new title slide. And if I show you all of the others, so title slide is the first slide in the presentation, followed by title and content are these slides. This is the title and content. There's a title and then there's a content. Now, there is also a section header. So these are slides that tell you that a new section is about to begin. Now, this section may or may not be a section made in PowerPoint. A section made in PowerPoint will have the same reason as for sections made in Word. Suppose you want a section of PowerPoint slides to not have the slide number. Then remember, just like how it was for Word, you will have to first break a new section, remove the page slide numbers from that section, and then you are done. But this is more of a logical section. It's more of a logical section. Suppose I'm presenting, I have introduction, I have topic 1, then I talk about topic 1, then again I introduce topic 2, I talk about topic 2, and then I introduce topic 3, talk about topic 3. So now I have introduced the presentation, and I want to tell my audience that now I'm going to start talking about topic 1. So my overall presentation content will have topic 1, 2, and 3. So here I'm telling the audience that I'm talking about topic 1. Okay. Now you see here, this looks different from the original title slide. Now here, if I have made all of these changes and now I'm no longer happy with those changes. I'm no longer happy with those changes. I want to go back to the original layout. So I go ahead and click reset. If I click reset, then every change that I had made in terms of positioning and fonts, only those go away. The content remains. Okay, the content remains. So now that I've clicked reset, the content remains, but it's reset back to the original template style. So which means Calibri size 60 in the center. Okay. Now, if you look here, this slide is the title of the presentation, and this is title of the section. So you see the difference over here. This has the text set at the bottom, set lower. So that visually tells you that this is something which is a smaller subset of the original. The original has the text set higher, right? So there are various visual ways you can tell the audience that this is something which is smaller than the overall presentation itself. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you do that? You can say you can do that by having either the text set lower like here, or you can have the text set smaller as well. So here that this is also 60, but if I set the text at 44, then I'm able to say that this is looking smaller or a subset of the main one. Okay, so that's your section. Now you have a 2 content. So comparison between strategy 1 and strategy 2. Okay, now these are both content slides. Okay, 2 content kind of slides. So you have, right? You can have a comparison kind of slide. Okay, a comparison kind of slide is different from a two content slide because comparison also has subtitle. So here is topic 1 and here is topic 2. And now you have points within that. That's really the only difference between 2 content and a comparison slide. So now then you have a title only. You would have noticed in my slides, I'm very fond of having title only, and then I drag this text somewhere in the middle and just have the text in the middle of the slide, right? So that's something that you could do. Then you can have an absolutely blank slide. right? For some reason you might want it, especially you want it if you are going to insert a picture. A lot of us will have a picture on this slide, right? Where is the apple? They'll have a picture on this slide, and I'll just show you. Okay, so basically with other placeholders remaining, they will have a picture, which is okay, but I'll just show you what the problem happens. Okay, so a lot of people will tend to have the placeholder along with it, which is okay, because the idea is that you don't really see the placeholder when you are on a slideshow mode, right? If your placeholder is empty or blank, then you won't see the placeholder itself, right? So that's the reason why people think it's okay, but generally it's not always a very good practice. So try and avoid doing that. So if you're going to have only an image, right, then it's always nicer to start with a blank slide. So just have a blank slide, don't have anything else. It becomes an easier thing to have, right? It just looks neater if you are starting with a blank slide. Okay, so so you can just, increase or decrease, just bring it in, whatever you want to do, you can do to it. Looks very neat, and you can just go ahead and have a blank slide directly. Now, suppose any of these slides, right, you have made a particular slide and then you realized you have made a mistake in the selection of it, right? Suppose this should not have been comparison. You can go ahead and change this from comparison to a to content. Okay, of course you will lose some content over here, because here once you have, then I don't have any content here. So that's the reason why these boxes went up and topic 1 became the first. If I have those, then it will do it differently, but you can go ahead and change. So I go ahead and change this from a blank to a title and content. You see, the original image that I had did not get disturbed. So most people, what they tend to do is they tend to make a picture slide like this, right? So you have these click to add title, click to add text, and a picture, and they are happy with it because they think that when you are doing a slideshow mode, then it doesn't show up. It's okay. I mean, I'm not disputing that logic. That logic is okay. But while you are working on it, it looks clunky. It looks clunky. So you can achieve a much neater look by changing it from title to content to a blank. Nothing else gets affected. None of your content is going to be affected. It's just that the layout will change the style of the document itself. Go ahead to a new one, say content with a caption. Okay, content with a caption. So here you can add text, you can add an image, whatever you want. And here you have some more additional areas to write. So you can say something, right? And you can have like a nice big image over here. You can have something and you can have a small paragraph. So imagine a lot of journalistic websites would tend to do something like this, right? So it will say, uh, uh, inauguration day, 2021. So here's one big image, right? It'll have like a nice big image over here. And here it'll say a paragraph about inauguration day in smaller font. So it'll end up looking like a really nice slide. So you might have a need for these kind of specialized things. If you want, in the previous one, you can have a picture or you can have text also. But if you're sure that you want to have a picture, then you can choose this directly. It will allow you to only insert a picture, right? So it's directly made to be a picture placeholder. So you go ahead and say that this is my picture that I need to insert here, and then you can go ahead and have some sort of an explanatory paragraph about that picture over here. Now you want to close that. Typically, the closing will once again be one of the header slides, right? You say thank you, you make a section header once again and say thank you over here, and that's how you avoid death by PowerPoint. Not too many slides. You've managed to successfully avoid death by PowerPoint for your audience, right? So, and then you can go ahead and bring that. Now that you have all of these, there are a bunch of views that will help you adjust. So here you imagine that this what is on slide 9 should actually go on to slide 2. Okay, so one way is to drag, drag, drag. That's one way to do. Okay, but there are other views that will make it easier. Personally, I love to use something called the slide sorter view, right? So if you look here, you have, if you look here, you have this one with 4 slide icon. Can you see that? Yeah, do you see that 4 slide icon over there? Right, so that's your slide sorter view. I personally love to use this slide sorter view a lot. Okay, when you have that slide sorter view, then you will find all of your slides are neatly laid out. Why do I use this? I use this to, after I've made my PowerPoint, I use slide sorter view to sort of mentally make a note if the logical flow is okay, right? Logically, if the whole thing makes sense, right? But this view is also very useful to move slides. Suppose this needs to come before the second slide. Much easier to move here than in the normal view. This is the normal view. You can move it here also. Going to take a lot more effort. Slide sorter view becomes much easier to go ahead and move this. I think this needs to come here, right? And topic 1 is over here. Similarly, I need one for topic 2. So I come here and I'll change it to topic 2 later, but for now I've just duplicated it. Let's duplicate topic 3. So topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, I'm managing to add slides right here. Now, I do not want this slide to show up. I'm not sure. I don't want to delete it, but I don't want it to show up for my audience. So I come here, hide slide. It's hidden. It hasn't gone. If I decide to finally show it, I will show. But for now, I'm not sure if I want to show it. Now, if you take a look at the slideshow, you see the table did not show up. But does the table exist? Yes, very much. If I want to take a look, I can always take a look at the table, but this icon and slightly grayed out colors, whitewashed out colors rather, they tell me that this is hidden. Now I want to unhide it. Go ahead and unhide that. Okay, go ahead and unhide. So that will now show up in slideshow mode as well, right? There are a couple of other view modes. One is for my own reading. For my own reading, okay? When I want to read it myself, then I want to reduce the clutter of the ribbon. I don't want to see the ribbon, but at the same time, I'm not really doing a slideshow. So I don't want my entire screen to be hidden. So this is the reading mode. So if I'm looking at it, this is my entire reading mode. Okay. Now, once I'm done with reading mode, it will revert to the original normal mode. And finally, after reading mode, we have the slideshow mode, which will let me actually present to an audience. Okay, let me actually present to an audience under your slideshow mode. So there are a variety of other things here. If you see, click to add notes, speaker notes. We'll take a look at how speaker notes go. Okay, so speaker notes, comments. So these are things that we will take a look at earlier. Slides can have different zoom levels. I have seen some people who are working on a slide like this, right? Sure, you can, right? However, remember, a lot of your screen space is getting wasted. So it's an inefficient use of space. If you are working like this, then again, you don't see the slide borders. So again, you will tend to go wrong. So in general, a good way to do is click this fit button. So once you fit the button, use the button to fit, then the slide is always going to fit in neatly into your space. Whatever is your space available, the slide will fit in neatly into that space. Suppose you don't want the notes to appear, so you've hidden the notes. Now, because my slide is fitted, it has expanded. Suppose now I want to show those notes, my slide has shrunk slightly. If I want notes to be in a bigger space, the slide has shrunk, but still at every point, the slide is the biggest that is available given my current screen configuration. Similarly, you can increase these outline slides also, right? Too small and you don't always realize what is here. Too big and you are actually wasting valuable real estate. So your screen real estate is this space is very valuable. So too big, you don't really need it, right? So this is 1/4 of my screen gone where I can't even interact. So something in like this, maybe about 1.5 inches of my screen real estate. I see what is here and also sufficient amount of space for me to work on my main slide. So both of those things are available and both of those things are easy for me to, they both serve their respective purposes. All right. Okay, so, okay, I haven't been following the questions. So let me just take a look at the questions. Which font is good for PPT? No single answer. No single answer. Depends on the situation, depends on the context, right? If you are a teacher writing for elementary school, then your choice of colors and fonts will be different. If you are a student for something, your classroom presentation, it'll be different. If you are, you know, applying for something where you have to send out a PowerPoint, that'll be different. But by and large, if you know that your font, your presentation is going to be presented on screen, then have a sans serif font, looks clean. But if it's going to be printed and read out, even though it is all right to have a sans serif font because the print here is fairly large, but there you might also choose a serif font for your titles and things like that. Okay, how to change default font? I'll show you how to change default font, right? So how to make Times New Roman default, all of those things we will discuss when we are doing. There's a comment saying Comic Sans is actually a pretty good font to enhance creative writing, I've heard. That might be true. I'm not really aware if that's the case, but that might definitely be the case. Also, I think I had mentioned this in the context of Word, but one tip I personally tend to swear by is if you've been working on a document a lot, then before you finalize, right, change it to Comic Sans, change it to some other font, and then your brain looks at it like a different document. Okay, so it becomes easier to catch hold of certain mistakes and things that you may have escaped your attention earlier, right? So that as an intermediate step, I think that is a good thing to do. Best font for creating official presentation, Sahil is asking. Yeah, like any of your formal kind of fonts are okay. Corporate presentations, a lot of Avenir is acceptable. Arial is very popular. Helvetica is very popular. Sans serif fonts right now are very popular in the corporate ones, depending on how you want to do it. Okay, depending on who your audience really is. Okay. How to merge slide 2 with slide 3. You can't merge two slides. You can copy text from one slide and then paste it on the second slide. Okay, so that's how you can do that on PowerPoint. You can't, otherwise there's no merge function per se. Right. So there's another, you can also do a reuse slide, right? So I'll show you a reuse slide, but that's not at a slide to slide basis. but I'll show you how to reuse it later in one of the future slides.